Hey, Chris Grove here with you for another movie review. Today we are doing Teachers from 1984. Teachers was directed by Arthur Hiller, stars Nick Nolte as Alex Jarrell, JoBeth Williams as Lisa Hammond, Ralph Macchio, the Karate Kid, as Eddie Palikian, Judd Hirsch from Taxi, Roger Rebel, Lee Grant, Superintendent Dr. Donna Burke, Crispin Glover as Danny Reese, Laura Dern as Diane, Richard Mulligan as Herbert Gower, Alan Garfield as Carl Rosenberg, and Royal Dano as Ditto. Hell of a cast, huh? So, Teachers is about an inner city school in Columbus, Ohio, that's being sued because one of their students graduated but never learned how to read or write. So that's your basic premise. And it starts with a typical Monday morning with total chaos. The kids going off the bus into the school, and a lot of chaos is ensuing. There's a school psychologist who's really kind of impatient for using the copier machine, I guess. The one that you have to slice and like cut and copy at the same time. That's how you used to make copies back then, I guess. Kind of even more ancient than a Xerox. Anyway, she basically just, sprays ink all over the this crusty old English teacher, played by Royal Dano as Ditto, who's one of those teachers that just falls asleep in class and lets the students do their assignment, and they hand it in when the bell rings, and he still dozes off, and then the next class comes in, apparently. So, he's kind of a dysfunctional guy way past his prime. But the glue to this movie, and what really starts this whole thing off, is the character of Nick Nolte, playing Alex Jarrell. As Nick Nolte can only play a character like this. He's a burned out history/social studies teacher who usually will take Mondays off if he can, like typical 3-day weekends. We first see him as the school is calling him to see if he's going to come in this Monday, and he's hungover. He's got a woman in bed with him, obviously a one-night stand. He tells her that, he's an airline pilot. Then she sees the teacher plaque on his wall, and she's like, I think I'll skip the coffee. So that's about as far as that relationship goes. Anyway, we get Judd Hirsch as Roger Rebel. Judd Hirsch is great in this. He still kind of cares, especially throughout the first half of the movie, and he's the assistant principal. Well, he's the vice principal, basically, who's doing the real principal work. The actual principal doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and just lets him just do everything, pretty much. And so it's just him, and then Dr. Donna Burke, played by the lovely Lee Grant, who's basically your typical ass-covering bureaucrat in the school system. She is just trying to cover her ass, but she's also, I think, doing the best she can with what she has. And she's doesn't care that this kid hasn't learned anything, and that he's, that doesn't know how to read or write, basically, and he graduated and somehow he got a high school diploma. She just cares that we're not going to get more money, as typical bureaucrats would in a situation like this. They're about the bottom line. And it's hard to change something like that, because how do you get her to care about the teaching angle of it when she's kind of removed from it? I guess some sort of seminar kind of reeling people into, hey, we're here to educate the children. Let's educate the children. Can we do that, please? Maybe that would help. I don't know. But she is just a wonderful and very realistic school district bureaucrat. She's the superintendent, and it's her job to just make sure things are flowing. The actual teaching part of it, that's the teacher's job. She's Not going to even touch that. So you get the bureaucracy in place, and you start to understand how something like this could happen. Eventually, Alex Jarrell, again played by Nick Nolte, kind of finds his discarded ideals through all this. When he starts to, he has to counsel a student because the school psychologist is on leave. So he counsels Eddie Palikian, played by Ralph Macchio, fresh off The Karate Kid. And he's like trying to reach him because Ralph Macchio is kind of a tough kid here. He's kind of got an attitude. He wears a fedora and a trench coat, and he hangs out with Crispin Glover, which I think is amazing. Ralph and Crispin hanging out at last. It's also interesting to think that Ralph Macchio was possibly considered to be the lead in Back to the Future. Although I don't really quite picture Ralph Macchio as a Marty McFly. I do picture him as an Eddie Palikian and as a Daniel Russo. So there we are. Anyway, so that's the layout of all this. We have some other crazy hijinks that ensue. Richard Mulligan plays a mental patient who is moving into his own private residence because he's able to live on his own now. But he answers a call from another apartment, and they're like, "Hey, are you so-and-so?" And he goes, "Yeah. Can you sub for us today?" So he basically fills in as a substitute teacher, unbeknownst to anyone. But he's really a outpatient mental patient. So there you go. I can see how that could happen. Then there's Diane, played by Laura Dern, and she's great in this. She has a very interesting role of a very sweet, attractive co-ed who gets knocked up by the PE teacher, as these things happen from time to time. So yeah, this school has a lot of issues that are still relevant today. And here we are in 26 or 20, what year is it now? 2026. And yeah, so this was 84, now we're in 2026, and these issues are still going on. So okay, so let's see here. So Nick Nolte, he's kind of good friends with Carl Rosenberg, who's a math teacher. I mean, they kind of got each other's back, so to speak, even though they're like polar opposites personality-wise. Carl Rosenberg is played by Alan Garfield, and Alan Garfield played the really like nasty police chief in Beverly Hills Cop 2. You know, that he was just complete bureaucrat and just completely just arrogant and abusive and just horrible. So that would be Carl. He's not horrible in this. He's actually kind of toned it down, but he gets excited, especially when he keeps getting harassed by one of his students. And of course he gets harassed by Danny Reese, played by Crispin Glover. First he gets his hand bit by the kid, and then basically Danny's just messing with him throughout the rest of the movie. Just kind of quietly trying to make him go insane. Moving his desk around, doing, different things. So, but the biting of the hand, that was an intense scene. So yeah, you're gonna want to be there for that one. This is, again, a comedy drama. It probably works better as a drama, but there are some comedic elements of, what do you call this? A student bit one of your teachers, your school psychologist sprayed paint all over one of your teachers, what do you do? What do you call this? And as Judd Hirsch calmly states, Monday. We call it Monday. So yeah. So this is the wacky hijinks of this whole thing. Enter Lisa Hammond, played by, fresh from Poltergeist, well, a couple of years after Poltergeist, actually, JoBeth Williams. And JoBeth does a great job as Lisa Hammond. She's this young, idealistic attorney who wants to fight the good fight, good liberal, good progressive. And she used to have a big crush on Alex Jarrell. And she's trying to subpoena him, and he's avoiding her. And he goes into the men's room, and he's hungover, like it's on a Monday. And he's like, he's wearing sunglasses, and he goes into the men's room to avoid her. And she goes in there anyway, and instead of handing him a paper towel to wash his hands, she hands him a subpoena. So there we are, So now he's got to show up for his deposition. And how is that going to go down? And as Alex starts to care more and get out of his constantly hungover energy that he was in before, and starts to really find his discarded progressive ideals again in the world of teaching, he becomes a threat to the school. Well, not to the school, but to the powers that be, mainly Dr. Burke. And at first, Roger, again, Judd Hirsch, is covering for him because they're kind of buddies too. There's a scene where they get drunk and talk about all the BS of the school and the bureaucracy of it all, and it's very real and heartfelt. I mean, we've all confided in our buddies at work or colleagues about the frustrations we have on the job, and that's what they're doing. But as things get a little more dire and his own job is on the line, he does an about face, and it's like, well, do we need to let Alex go? He's got tenure, but let's try to find some loophole to let this teacher go before his deposition. And also, Alex and Lisa, the attorney assigned to this whole case, are now dating. And she's supposed to, give him his deposition. So, there's a lot of things at play here. He also has to help Laura Dern's character when Macchio, who now trusts him, is like, hey, you need to help her out with an abortion. She's got knocked up, and she's like, my parents will kill me. They'll kill me. Like, I can't tell them. And she's like a 16-year-old girl, and what does he do? He gives her a ride to the clinic. Was that a good idea? I don't know. He doesn't. He struggles with it. He doesn't just do it right away, but he's trying to build rapport with Eddie, and he wants to help her. So he does it. Of course, this is going to come back to bite him when they, are looking for a loophole to fire him for, because they're looking to just throw whatever they can at him and see what sticks. So that's your basic whole premise of the film. I'm not going to spoil it for you because it's a really good movie and you should go watch it. And I know it's on Prime. It's probably on other streaming services too. It may be on Netflix. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but definitely Prime will have it. Or they should anyway. I'm sure if you can't find it there, YouTube, you'll have to pay for it, but YouTube will have it. And possibly Apple TV. But check with Prime and YouTube first. I want to talk about the music a little bit too. 38 Special does the opening song, which really fits the opening feel, kind of montage of the movie with the credits rolling, and it's oh so 80s, it's a snowy day, and Monday, beginning of school in Columbus, Ohio, in the dead of winter, and all the kids are rushing into the building. You got the security out there, and the song "Teacher, Teacher" is playing. You know, "Teacher, Teacher, can you teach me?" You know, that song. There's also another great song by a band called Roman Holiday, and the songs they're kind of a new wave band, and the song's called "One Foot Back of Your." I got one foot back in your door is the name of the song, and it's a really good movie, a really good song too. So check that out. I got 1 foot back in your door, baby. Anyway, good tune. I'm trying to sing more in my videos sometimes, for better or worse. We'll see how that goes. We're having fun, aren't we? I know I am. So, yeah, that is the movie Teachers. It's definitely worth a look. It's definitely worth checking out. All the problems are real. I get that they tried to make it into a comedy drama. The comedy is just like having a sense of humor about the dire reality of it all, really. You know, that's where the comedy comes in. Other than that, it's pretty much a drama with some wry, sarcastic, sardonic humor thrown in. But it works for this movie, and I love it, and it's definitely worth checking out. So, Teachers from 1984, give it a watch. Let me know what you think. Also, would love it if you would like and subscribe to my channel, and comment. Feel free to comment. Let's get a discussion going. Yeah, that's all I got on this. So, life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived, so live it. Catch you next time. Take care.